Well, here we are back at Carrack Mission Control with the man himself once again. Paul, great to see you.
Paul, thanks for coming out.
My great pleasure. We're here to talk about this wonderful new record.
Yeah.
Don't Wait Too Long, with the SWR Big Band.
Mm-hmm.
A band with whom you have quite some history, don't you? You go back a ways with these guys.
Well, it goes back a little ways, about, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 years. I didn't know them at all. They're a big band, kind of a big band orchestra, jazz orchestra basically, based in Stuttgart in Germany. But with this album we kind of reined the repertoire in a little bit and brought it back to a bit more my neck of the woods. Yeah. Which meant that I could not just sing but also play keyboards, because as I say, I'm not really a schooled musician. I'm self-taught rock and roll guy. I can play in the blues scale, but if it gets too jazzy, that's beyond me.
Well, you're playing on it. It complements them wonderfully, I think.
Thank you.
Both piano and Hammond, of course.
Yeah.
Two of your great loves.
Yeah, well, as I say, I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, but I do play a lot of Hammond, and it is a bit of a specialist thing. I mean, there's a lot of keyboard players that don't go there, right? Because, but it's a fabulous instrument, and you can get away with murder, because it's such a great sounding thing. Yeah.
So back at sort of day one of the idea of this, making this record.
Yeah.
Did you just kind of sit down with and put together a wish list of songs? Did you kind of know the sort of vibe you wanted to find?
Yeah, we had an idea of the vibe. As I said, the repertoire of stuff I've done with them in the past, because I've done various concerts and a few other recordings with them, and it's usually been more in the jazz or the swing kind of area. And we thought we would rein it in a little bit, make it a bit more bluesy, a bit more soul pop, and have a vintage kind of pop feel about it, I suppose, was the rough idea. So everybody just chipped in with a few ideas of songs, and we selected those and ran with it.
Realising these songs, getting them into a form that you were comfortable with. I mean, did that happen quite quickly? Your voice sits so well with this orchestra.
Well, I think that's kind of what I'm good at, in a way, is adapting to different styles, but retaining my own thing. But these guys are proper professionals. I mean, these are professors of music and stuff like that, But so for them to write an arrangement is that's what they do. Right. It's more sophisticated than the stuff I would do. But as I said, we selected a bunch of songs. Started with 3 or 4. Various guys in the band did arrangements, and they would do what we call a demo, i.e. a MIDI thing, basically on keyboards, where they would mock up the arrangement.
Seen so many photos of you and footage as well of you on stage with these guys, and it's a busy stage, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it took a bit of bottle in the first place, years ago, to stand in front of that. But it is a wonderful experience. I really enjoy it. I mean, it's very different to what I would normally do with my band. But this is probably a little bit closer, actually, and I think we can do some of these songs as a smaller band, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're always thinking that, aren't you? I mean, every time you make a record, I'm sure it's like a reflex thing with you now. You're thinking about how it's going to sound, how you can deliver it on stage.
Yeah, indeed, that's true. Because so much of what we do is about playing live, or it was. Until, of course, 2020, when things went mad. Yeah. But up until then, the live thing was where it was at, definitely.
Yeah. Well, the last time you and I were sitting in this very room, we were talking about the previous album, which was a completely different sort of a project, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, but funnily enough, they were both done kind of at the same time during lockdown. The one-on-one album, I more or less did everything myself here. As I say, jack of all trades, play a little bit of everything. And but we also were recording this album with the SWR band. Without going right into the technicalities of how it worked, but we had to sort of, a lot of it was recorded separately. I did the vocals here, they did their recordings over in Germany.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like it, I don't think.
It certainly doesn't. No, you gave him the game away now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that's part of what you do, and you're so used to being the sort of master of your own destiny in this room, aren't you? You know, that
Yeah.
it's kind of like a comfort zone in a way, isn't it?
Which one?
Well, this being here, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, I do collaborate also, but obviously on the one-on-one album, no, it was totally myself. But in some ways, I can focus better when I'm working on my own, because I'm easily swayed. You know, by if somebody's got a strong opinion, I can be easily led. But when you know, playing everything and doing it sometimes it seems like the vocals get less time than a lot of the other stuff. Whereas the luxury with working with the big band is that they write the arrangements. They do all the parts, and all I got to do is show up and sing, and it's great actually.
That's no small thing, I tell you. You know,
no,
what you bring to it.
But as I say, it is a bit of a luxury, and I can just concentrate on singing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So just to look at some specific tracks on the album, it starts out. It starts as it means to go on. I think we can say that, can't we? With "I'll Always Be in Love with You," which is.
Sweetheart, if you should stray a million miles away.
Which is actually a song that goes all the way back. I mean, published, we think, in 1929.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what was published in 1929. I don't know who recorded it then.
No.
I know the version by a guy called Lloyd Price.
Yep.
Who was quite a character by all accounts, and had a fantastic style. He took no prisoners.
That's right.
You know.
Second track, Don't Wait Too Long. Actually, one of the more recent inclusions.
Indeed.
Yeah, yeah. You can cry a million tears. You can wait a million years. If you think time will change your way.
Well, yes, the most recent for sure. Obviously, the original is by a fantastic artist called Madeleine Peru, who I really like her stuff. And I think the song, the suggestion came from my good friend Peter Van Hook, who's kind of co-produced the album. And he put this one into the hat, and that's all there is to know about it, really. It's a great little song. It's great sentiment. You know, don't wait too long, time's ticking.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it swings. I mean, they all do.
Yeah. Yeah, I play a little Hammond solo on it. You know, it's a very simple little thing, but yeah.
Crime Won't Help You. It's got
Yeah.
a great kind of sing-along feel to it, actually.
It's got a shout, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I said crying won't help you, baby. Oh, your crying won't help you now. You've been so mean to me.
Funnily enough, I actually recorded this at one time with B.B. King.
Yeah.
Or let's say I was there.
Right.
B.B. made an album, he recorded a lot of tracks in London on an album called Juices Wild, and I was there to play Hammond, which I did, and incredibly got to sing 2 or 3 tracks on the album as well, and this next song, Crime Won't Help You, was one of them. So that was a real thrill to be in the same room as him, and he was such a great character, very humble, very funny, and it was great.
I had the pleasure of interviewing him once, and you know, I can confirm the same thing. I mean, it was just lovely to be around. You know? And he had that idea of, you know, as an interviewer, I remember thinking, he had that great trick of making you feel as though he was telling you things for the first time. I'm sure he wasn't, but you know, you just do that thing. I'm going to tell you something that I've never told anybody. You know? But you know, they don't make them like that anymore, do they? You know.
No, definitely not. No, sadly, no longer with us. But
that's right.
what just an honour to be able to say played on.
Yeah, that's a proper tick, isn't it? That one.
Yeah.
That's a great organ by you on that track as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a bad solo. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. I mean, there are several kind of ballads on this thing, which I'm a sucker for ballads. I like ballads. I'll Always Be in Love with You, Trust in Me. There's a version of a song called Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying.
Don't let the sun catch you crying.
Which is the Ray Charles song, as opposed to the other version I did,
Yes.
which was written by Jerry Marsden.
Yep.
God rest his soul. I'm very, very pleased with this version, actually, because I mean, it's very close to the Ray Charles arrangement. But I think it's probably one of my best vocals on that.
That's wonderful, yeah. I mean, when I saw you'd done it before I'd listened to it, I looked at the track listing and thought, he's done that before,
Yeah.
but of course it's the other one. It's the other
Indeed, yeah. Which is also a great song.
one. Yeah.
That was on the other left field album I did called A Different Hat, which I did with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra.
Again, I think there were versions before Ray's
I'm sure.
of that song, but
Yeah, but I'm not that old, you see. I'm not as
There you
old
go.
as you. Oh, I
Shut
am
up.
much older than you.
but I kind of always imagined it would be the Ray Charles. He is an important influence for you, isn't he?
Yeah, I've always loved Ray Charles, both as his piano playing as well, but also his incredible vocals, totally convincing. Because I have an older brother, John, who brought home a lot of the early Ray Charles stuff, the raw stuff, and then he brought in an album called Ingredients in a Recipe for Soul, where he's singing all the things like Old Man River, Lucky Old Sun.
Well, you and I never need an excuse to talk about how great Bobby Bland is. We've had many a conversation, and now there's another reason, because here he is on this album.
Did I tell you that when I was in the band Ace and we got our first little record contract with a small label in the UK that distributed all the Bobby Bland albums? Have I told you?
Yeah, tell me again.
Okay, I'm telling you. Yeah, so we just used to raid the cupboard, and that was the introduction to Bobby Bland, was all those albums from the 70s, which were fantastic.
Yes.
And always been a fan.
Those were the days, going to record companies. I used to do it as a journo, you know, you'd go in and sort of like come away with as many records as you could possibly carry. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. But his
But
stuff
they were
at that
great.
time, I still find it underrated. You know, you've done other Bobby Bland songs, haven't you? From that period, and these earlier days as well.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? I mean, he's just a fantastic singer.
And that song, I mean, it's Ain't Nothing You Can Do. Like a lot of these songs, you know, there's a sort of a sad edge to them in a way, but they kind of, you know, you've given them a real sort of swing on these.
Yeah, it
versions.
just swings nicely. Yeah.
Yeah.
A man can't break a stone, so he tries another lick. An Iceman can't cut his ice, so he buys another pick. Electric lights go out, but a candle will see through.
Okay, now this song, Question.
Yeah.
Written by Lloyd Price.
Indeed.
Our New Orleans friend again.
How long does it take to realize love is a priceless thing? And I know you can't buy love if you're rich with diamonds and gold. Heartache will come around surely, knock on anybody's door.
I wasn't familiar with this track at all. I think this was a suggestion from one of the guys in the band. It's a little bit different. I think it's almost like a 70s. It reminds me of a 70s car chase. I think. But yeah, again, the Lloyd Price.
For anyone who doesn't know him, I mean, it's songs like Personality, that would be, you know, that classic New Orleans sort of
Indeed.
soul feel he had.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, underrated guy, I think. You know, not mentioned
Not
as
in the
often
music world,
No,
but
right.
I mean, he was pretty rough around the edges from the recordings that I've always heard, and he gives it 100%.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a rock feel about that track, your version, isn't there?
Yeah. I'd say the arrangement is a little bit more rock than.
The next song, The Only Thing Missing Is You.
Hello, baby. I know that you're worried. I know it's late, but there's something I had to do. I stopped by.
People have had the chance to get to know ahead of the album release because you've had it out as an individual
We've had
track,
it out
haven't you?
as a single. Yeah, I think it was one of Bobby Bland's later recordings.
Right.
You know, I never got to meet him. I never saw him or anything like that, but always been a massive fan.
Yeah. I was just saying that I had the great chance to,
You got to meet
interview
him,
him
didn't
late on. Yeah, I mean, what a gentleman, you know. And
Yeah.
he was, you know, sort of to kind of reduced power by then, it's fair to say, you know, but still an amazing presence on stage.
Yeah.
And you've loved a lot of his stuff from various periods, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, Gotta Get You Off My Mind, one of the best known songs on the album, I would say.
I gotta get you off of my mind. I know it's just a matter of time. You found somebody new and our romance is through. Yeah, listen, baby, we had a love that was in between.
By Solomon Burke, another hero of yours.
Indeed, what a character.
Oh man,
what a star.
Yeah.
Again, didn't get to meet him, but I know that Jules Holland's got quite a few good stories because he got to work with him. But fantastic, what an image.
A giant talent in every sense.
Indeed.
Fair to say.
And apparently a lot of the things he did were in live were free form. He'd make the lyrics up as he went along, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But,
and also an amazing showman. You know, I saw him once quite late on with the whole thing with the
carrying him on,
putting him in on the big sort of regal throne. Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic.
And I think he had his son there, sort of to mop his brow. You know.
Wow, there you go. That's not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea for your next show, I think. Yeah, definitely. But people will know that song. It's probably one of Solomon's best known hits, I suppose, isn't it? But you know, works so well in this format.
He had a few. He did have a few back in the day.
Back to the 40s with the Frim Fram Sauce.
5 will get you 10. I'm gonna feed myself right tonight. Don't want fish cakes and rye bread. You heard what I said. Way to make mine fried. I want the Frim Fram sauce with the awesome thing. Chihuahua on the side.
I think Ella did an early, maybe the first version of this actually.
Very likely.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a jazz standard.
Yeah.
I knew it from Diana Krall, actually. But again, I think this was one of the guys in the band put this one forward.
Yeah.
It's a fun song, and I'm looking forward to doing it live. Actually, I think it's going to work great.
Yeah. I think there was a version by Louis Jordan who did a couple of these songs that he did.
There you go.
You know.
Yeah.
But it's part of that, you know, I don't know, there's a whole wave of those songs that are just great fun, aren't they? The vocally, lyrically, they were great.
I wasn't quite sure what he was on about, actually, when I first heard it, but I've got an idea. There might be some connotations there, but I was in New Orleans recently, actually, and it was on the menu.
Was it?
Yeah, so I had to have it.
You had to try it. Yeah. And?
Yeah.
Was it all right?
Yeah.
Good. Would have been terrible if it had been bad. You'd have had to take it off the album. I love the way that you've also on the track listing, for as people will see, you've highlighted some of the key players on each track, you know, and on that particular one, it's the Pierre, the baritone sax.
Oh, it's a great baritone sax solo.
Yeah.
Definitely, Pierre. He's like myself. He's a fan of the chapeau as well, but it's a great solo.
There's room for solos, isn't there, in this format? You know, some of them by you and some of them by members of this great band.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And they might well stretch out in a live situation.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you look at the track listing, which is fascinating, you know, and the history of some of these songs, they actually go back a lot further than that in some cases, don't they? And, you know, many of these songs have had many different versions.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, things like Trust in Me.
Yeah.
And that's a song I know from Etta James. She actually nailed it, to be fair. But, and I had always thought that was the original, but apparently it goes back to the 40s or something like that.
Yeah.
But a great song's a great song.
Trust in me in all you do. Have the faith I have in you.
Yeah, quite a big ask, Trust in Me,
Yeah.
because let's face it, Etta James did such a fantastic, iconic version. She was a powerhouse.
If there's ever a song that proves your love of a good ballad, this is the one.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, I'm a big fan of the ballad. It's a nice arrangement actually from the guitar player, Klaus-Peter Schopfer, and he put the arrangement together. A little bit more of a modern slant to it.
Yes.
But, yeah, as you say, I like to get my teeth into a ballad.
And it's another one of those songs that does go back, you know, a very long way to the 30s, we think. But you know, Etta's kind of the definitive.
Definitive, but the female version.
Right.
So at least we,
Yeah.
you know, there's the difference.
A lot of people will know this this next one, Bring It On Home to Me.
Oh, bring it to me. Bring your sweet loving. Bring it on home to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know I tried to treat you right.
Much covered, but you bring something new to it, I think.
Well, I hope so, but massive fan of Sam Cooke, obviously, as most singers are. One of the really all-time greats.
There's an album of his that you were telling me you love called Night Beat.
Night Beat, yeah. Not least because the organ playing on that album is Billy Preston.
Yeah, a very young Billy Preston.
Yeah, would have been, but one of my, well, definitely my greatest influences. Not that I'm getting anywhere near where he was. I mean, he was outrageously good.
Yeah.
And Ray Charles plays piano on some of those tracks as well. But
There is you didn't do it on this finished version, but there's a harmony line to that song. In fact, I think on the Sam Cooke version, is it not Lou Rawls?
it could well be. It could well be.
In those early days, yeah.
Yeah, I did. I tried that with the harmony, and I quite liked it actually. But
Didn't make the cut.
didn't make the cut. No, they decided they wanted it to remain as a solo.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now the album finishes with a lovely track called Next Time You See Me.
Next time you see me, things won't be the same. No, no, next time you see me, things won't be the same. And if it hurts you, my darling, you only have yourself to blame.
Which I think I'm right in saying was first done by Little Junior Parker.
Junior Parker.
Yeah.
In fact, yeah. Yeah, actually, that was, to be honest, that was Eric Clapton turned me on to that song. I was singing it at one time in Eric's show.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been a fantastic experience for me to be involved and playing on a lot of his, for the last 10 years almost.
Right, yeah.
Most of his touring.
Including quite recently, you know, before.
Yeah. But no, it's been wonderful, that experience, and playing with some absolutely world-class legends.
Yeah.
People like Steve Gadd, Steve Jordan, Sonny Emery, people like that. But so yeah, Eric turned me on to Little Junior Parker, and that song in particular.
Yeah, 1957. It was a big R&B hit in the States, actually.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that stuff, you know, I guess it was quite specialist over here, wasn't it, in the UK? But
Yeah, you couldn't get hold of that stuff,
No.
really. There was one place in Sheffield, Violet Maze, which was like a swap shop. It was a place you could swap your bits and pieces. And she was the only one really where you could get to hear any blues or anything.
Right, yeah. And back in the days when you had to sort of save up to buy a single or
That's
especially
right.
an album, you know, early record buying days.
Anyway, Paul, thanks for coming up.
Great pleasure, Paul.